I'm a big fan of love stories. I'm a hopeless romantic, I'm going to confess. Thoroughly obsessed with movies, books, television shows that revolve around the subject of love. It's the running joke at our house is that, what are we going to watch for the movie tonight? What's tonight's movie going to be? And there's two of us, my wife and I, get to make this choice, and I'm always over here in the rom-com, in the romance section. She's over here in the action and the go get 'em, the occasional bank heist, that sort of thing. And so we love them when they're coming down the middle, right? Your Ocean's 11, yeah, a love story and a bank heist at the same time. The good guys win, the bad guys lose, that sort of thing. But I can't get enough of stories about love, and I've come to understand it's because I'm constantly searching for it in one way or another in my life. And looking back, I can see that it's been there since the beginning. I was considering getting real with you guys today, but I changed my mind. Because it's too hard. There's some subject matters that are supposed to be discussed today that Spirit has asked me to bring forth, but instead I'm going to tell you about a friend of mine who's lived a very similar life. This friend okay. This friend was born into a loving family, but despite loving parents who were there for him, never felt good enough. There were certain influences in his life, perhaps influences in his past lives, that have him constantly second-guessing his worth and his value in the world, his lovability in particular. Compounded with some events that went on in life that sort of reinforced that sense. An older sibling who, quite frankly, for most of his youth, expressed that she would rather he not be there, that he was a problem. Parents who weren't trained well to love, to express love unconditionally, that were dealing with their own challenges in life. Their own parents who were also not trained well on how to express love unconditionally and take care of him in an unconditional way. And so we come out of the wound here, right, in life. We're birthed and from this loving environment of the womb, and we're into this womb, and if the TV's right, the doctor smacks you on the ass, and you cry, and then they spend the rest of your life telling you to be quiet. Right? This boy had a similar experience. Felt called to hide in the corners in the darkness. But yet, always looking around, longing for that. And here at Unity, we explore a different possibility, that maybe it's not this mother-child separation that we're constantly fighting against for the rest of our lives. Perhaps it's the separation from our source. If you buy into the concept that we all are in heaven prior to coming and incarnating on this physical plane, and that we take a blue pill and forget about that oneness that we come from, and we come into this plane where a doctor's smacking us on our ass and our parents and society's telling us to be quiet from that point on, and that you're a born sinner, perhaps, if you were raised in that world. And so we have this separation from all that is, from God, him or herself, from spirit. Unity says perhaps that's what we're going after. Perhaps that's what this relentless pursuit is about. that we're constantly fighting for. Anybody else feel like, since they can remember, that they've been constantly looking for someone, for something? Anybody get that? Yeah? And so this friend of mine, he's conditioned in the same world as all of us. The movies, the television shows, where you have a man and a woman, and they come together, and perhaps they come apart. If it's a good television show or a movie, there's something that they come together, right? Notting Hill, I'm going to confess to you. One of my favorite movies of all time. Let me just go ahead and hand my man card out. You go ahead and get rid of that right now, with that confession having been made to the entirety of the universe. If you're not familiar with the movie, anybody not familiar with Notting Hill? Hugh Grant? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her, is one of the epic lines from that movie, right? And when you're hip deep in the material world and identified with this body, with your existence, this movie really hits in there, right? You have a shy, fairly incompetent, pretty good-looking guy in Hugh Grant who meets a movie star in Julia Roberts. She's a knockout, gorgeous 10 movie star, millionaire, famous as all get out. The most famous actress in the whole world, basically playing herself in the movie for all practical purposes. And they have a chance meeting. And there are the sparks, and these two play that perfectly, right? They play it perfectly. And yet, stuff pushes them back apart, and they go through this phase alone. Can anybody relate to Pete's song? I'm alone. And it's fucking painful. And I need something. I need someone. Anybody go to the someone? Anybody at any time in their life been alone and longing for someone to make it all better? Only half of you. Yeah, come on. Let's be brave. Yes. We've all been there. Is there anyone, let's just do the other question. Is there anyone who's never experienced that? They're not here today, right? That's a different church. We go through life on a relentless pursuit of this love that we've either lost from our parent, our mother in the womb, or perhaps we've lost from our connection with God as we come down here and take on this amnesia about who we really are, willfully forget that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so this boy, this friend of mine, he's growing up. He has certain experiences in his life that sort of reinforce that perhaps he's not good enough, that perhaps he's not loved. His childhood best friend, when they hit high school, discovers girls, discovers a girlfriend, and the friendship. And so we have this boy who's back to being alone, looking around. He discovers one way he can get love is fantastic grades. Let's get some good grades. And he gets all sorts of accolades. And Grandma's like, I'm so proud of you, and takes him to church and says, I want you to meet my grandson. He's just the most fantastic grandson in the world. He does all these things, these physical things, these things he does. And this boy learns that, or gains the idea that if he does well, if he does the right things, that the love will come. And so he sets about creating this person, this persona, who goes out and gets good grades and says the right things and plays the right instruments very well on stage, who does the chores, who cleans windows to perfection, not a single spot on them. Mom, look what I did. Look how clean this window is. Son, that window is so clean. I'm so proud of you. I love you. And then later in high school, this boy meets a girl. Odd chance. Studying for a calculus exam. Sharing a love of photography. And they fall in love. And he goes home and says, Mom, Dad, I met this girl. And she likes me for me. She likes me for me. And I like her for her. Not for what she can do. Not for what I can do. And they have a torrid love affair for several years, as only young people can do. But after college, things shift again. 7 years, this relationship. And one day, she decides she doesn't love him anymore. She says, I don't love you anymore. I can't be with you anymore. And I'm moving on. And oh, by the way, there's someone else who's better than you. And what does he hear? You're not lovable. You're not good enough. And so he sets out and he doubles down on this. God damn it, he didn't get it right. I didn't get it right. I'm not wearing the right clothes. I don't drive the right car. I'm a year out of college and I don't have the right career. If I had all these things, she'd love me still. We'd be together and this pain wouldn't be here. I would not be alone. Anybody can relate to this? Yeah. And so he doubles down on this goal to create the perfect person out of himself. To find the right girl, to find the right career, to drive the right car, and sure as shit, he nails it. Several months later, he goes to a party that his friends drag him to. And one of those friends he doesn't know very well, friend of a friend. And this guy growing up watched the I Dream of Jeannie show, right? On replay. What do we call that? On reruns? Remember? Anybody? You guys? Everybody here is old enough to remember reruns. Maybe a couple of you don't know what a rerun is. Syndication. Because he's alone. He watches a lot of TV, and he sees I Dream of Jeannie up there. And man, whew, anybody have the hots for I Dream of Jeannie? This guy did. And this is a Halloween party that he gets dragged to. And this girl he doesn't know very well, what costume is she wearing? And she is a 10. Whew. She is a 10. 10 plus. In an I Dream of Jeannie costume. And he is smitten. After a while, she realizes she's smitten with him too. And they go on to create one hell of a life. Start companies, make tons of money, have tons of friends, get on softball teams and volleyball teams and basketball teams, hit home runs, crowd cheering, rah, rah, we love you. You guys are great. Beautiful daughter. The cars they always dreamed of in the driveway, 5-bedroom house with a pool. Life is good because he figured it out. He became good enough at what he did to earn that love. He acquired it through sheer will and effort. One day they figure out, you know what, this isn't working for us anymore. We need to make a change. And so they moved to this crazy town up in the mountains of Oregon. Not like this one. Beautiful people who were expressing love in grocery store lines. Something they never experienced before. A conversation with the person with you in line at the grocery store. They were in California. This shit doesn't happen. No, get the fuck out of my way. I got things to do, is the policy in California. We don't have time for you to have a conversation with that clerk right now, because I got to get on. And here in this crazy town up in Oregon, they're having these conversations. And he's starting to experience this crazy thing called love again. From a community who's integrated with each other. And say, we got to get rid of these California company. This is ridiculous. It's keeping us from having this great experience of love and appreciation and companionship up here in this mountain town. So they find a buyer for the company. And they sell it. And it closes escrow on December 22nd. Just before Christmas. What a Christmas gift. A shit ton of money in the bank. And no more job for the time being. But what happens to this guy? 3 days later, it's Christmas Eve. And this guy is suicidally depressed. Takes his keys to a car, takes his wallet out of his pocket, puts it on the nightstand, takes his phone out of the pocket, puts it on the nightstand, writes a suicide note in his journal. Gets in the car, no identification with him whatsoever, says goodbye to his family. Not I'll see you later. It's Christmas Eve, it's a little weird to be doing this, yes. And says, I gotta go. I love you. Goodbye. And drives off to have a conversation with a river. Thankfully, the connection he has with this woman is so strong. Despite the fact that he has no ability to be traced or tracked down, she tracks him down and pulls him back from the ledge. Says, fuck you for doing this to me and your daughter. And he comes back home. But the pain is not gone. Why is he in so much pain? Everything he'd worked for had been laid out in front of him. And yet, it's still fucking there. That longing, that relentless pursuit is still there. Even though everything you thought would fix it was present, it's not. And then he gets rid of the one thing that he understands, and that's working. That's doing, that's achieving, and he sells it. And when it's gone, he doesn't know who the hell he is. He has no purpose. He has no value. Why would my family want me? Why would my family want me? They don't need me anymore. The money's in the bank. I'm just a pain in the ass. Heard about it in couples therapy? Not good enough. He has no grip on who he is because everything he ever thought he was, he sold. And if you don't get it, the person we're talking about in the story is me. I had no understanding of who I was beyond what I could do to make money, beyond the car that I drove, beyond the house that I owned, beyond how beautiful the wife was, and beyond how great the daughter was. I had no concept of that. None whatsoever. And it took years to figure out that wasn't who I was. It took years of going through this. In the middle of this, I was given a reprieve from this pain, from a force beyond what I can understand. In some sects, they call it a satori. It was a really rough night, a dark night of the soul. And I'm studying Ho'oponopono. I just read a book on it. I'm not sleeping. I've got no job, so I don't have to be up the next day. So I'm up watching TV. I'm studying Ho'oponopono. I was just called to do some yoga. Laying in bed, not sleeping, I'm called to do some yoga. And it's like, instead of going to watch TV, I get out roll out the yoga mat, I'm buck naked in our living room. Doing yoga. Reciting Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Seconds into this yoga routine, I'm weeping. I don't know why. I'm weeping. Literally weeping. The next morning, I wake up with the most unbelievable sense of love for myself and for everything in the world. Never felt it before in my life. This indescribable connection with a pile of dog shit in the front yard, to the people walking by, to everything that ever happened, everything that will happen, everything that hasn't happened. Just an indescribable appreciation for it. And this lasted for 2 3/4 weeks. It was absolute bliss. Absolute, utter bliss. Because I recognized myself as divinity for this time. And I remember the exact moment that it came to an end. And it was excruciating to come back into this world where everything and everyone around you is telling you that you are judged based on how much you make, how well you sing, how beautiful your spouse is, how big your house is, how cool your car is. Right? You guys get this? You understand you're living in a society that tells you you're better when you have these things? The great Sylvia Hayes describes it perfectly. We live in a corporatocracy. I can't even say it. Not a democracy. This country is now run by the corporations for the corporations. Yes? And what do corporations want to do? They want to make money. Right? How do they make more money? They're selling you shit. How do they sell you shit? By telling you you're not good enough until you have their shit. Yeah? Life is better when you drive a Mercedes. Oh, Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? Yes? You guys understand we live in this society. Anybody not get that? It's really, 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 really important that you come to terms with that you are constantly being bombarded with messages that tell you are not good enough because you have not purchased this thing, because your retirement fund has not been funded properly enough. You need to follow that damn yellow line in the road to your perfect life at the end of the rainbow that's got this giant retirement account. You guys seen this commercial? Breaking from that is a critical step in learning to recognize that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. And that is all bullshit. It does not define you. It does not make you a good person or a bad person when you don't have it. That you are lovable to your core. Whether you are a billionaire or you are homeless and sleeping on the street corner, you are lovable to your core. Shortly after this experience, this loving night of the soul, we got to experience not having a home. We made a conscious decision, quasi-conscious, half-conscious decision, half-forced by circumstances, to jump on our camper, our travel trailer for the summer, and not have a house. And we got to experience society going, what the fuck? You can't do that, son. That's not allowed. The second you try and register for something and you don't have an address, ooh, This was very eye-opening to me. Like right now, we're at an apartment building, and God bless the universe. They have blessed us with a new home to move into in May. But my birthday's in 2 days, and in 2 days, my license expires. My driver's license expires. I have to register and get a new one. They will not let me register that until I have a physical address. We want your place of residence, they say, and we will not give you a driver's license if you can't provide us a proof of residency somewhere. We will not give this to you. We will not give you this privilege. This society we live in says you are defined based on the quality of your home, and if you don't have one, you are shit. Fascinating summer being a vagabond and having the whole world look down on you like out of the corner of their eye. I don't know if you're such a good person. I think I'm going to remove my love for you. I think I'm going to remove my approval for you. Fascinating experience. If you ever have the opportunity to try it, I encourage you to do it. You will learn a lot about the society that we live in and the pressures it puts on us to be things that we perhaps don't want to be. On this journey, I've learned that we are wildly supported by entities, by beings, by spirit that we can't even comprehend. We are wildly supported. And I've also learned that the closer you can get to knowing yourself as a spiritual being, the more likely you are to recognize that wild support and stop fighting against it. Yesterday, I'm out for a run on Pilot Butte with roughly 3/4 of the town of Bend. Enjoying our first fall spring. No, it's our second fall spring. Yes, in Bend, we get fall springs before the winter comes back. Was yesterday gorgeous or what? Yeah. So I'm out for a trail run on Pilot Butte, and I'm listening to Autobiography of a Yogi. You guys know I'm a fan. I think this is the third pass through it. But my phone keeps turning off. It's weird. Like the audio feed just turns off. I pull it out, I unlock it, and it just starts playing again. Put it back. I'm trying to listen to some spiritual shit here, God. What the hell? I'm trying to be wholesome and pure. The anger flowing up. It does this like 8 times, right? It just, after a few minutes of listening to this, it just stops. Fuck it, I give it up. I give up. Fine, I'm running in silence, God. Okay, I give in. There must be a reason here. And I discovered that yesterday evening as I'm out walking the dogs. I pull out the phone and I put on Autobiography of a Yogi again. And sure as shit, I get just the message I need for this talk today in this section that I was not in a position to hear while I was out running because my mind was running all over the place. I wasn't really absorbed in it. It was just noise in my ears. I'm alone, and I need the noise to make it not hurt so much, to make it go away. It's just there. But when I'm on the dog walk, the stars are shining. I'm by myself. Nobody's out. You hear it. You can really dig into these spiritual books. And if the passage comes up where he's talking to his guru, Yogananda is, and they're talking about education and the learned, and his guru goes, what good is learning all these other people's stories and learning all those words, and just so you can regurgitate their words? You guys know anybody who thinks they're super rad because they can spout other people's poems, sing other people's songs like that, spout other people's wisdom, maybe recite a little Einstein? You guys all have one of those people in your lives? Yeah. What good is all that if you're not living your own life? If you're not telling your own story? You're telling other people's stories. You're trying to be someone else. This is what's in that book for me last night. I've been, for the last 48 hours, racked with trying to find the right quotes to read up here for you guys, from Rumi about love, right? From Wayne Dyer, digging into his book called Divine Love, trying to find these great quotes to recite up here for you. He's like, no, you need to tell your own story. You need to tell your own story. And the phone broke to keep me from missing that and hearing it at the right time. You will find, as you work daily, and it is a daily thing. In fact, it's a minute-by-minute thing to stay close to God. Stay close to Spirit. You will find that you are wickedly loved. Every moment of every day, you are supported in ways you cannot even fathom. I'm going to wrap this up with a funny-ass story about this happening in our lives in a transition phase when we're trying to move up here from California, but we keep going back down to California, looking for that joy that we experienced at the time in our life, going back to a state that's not there anymore. The state of California, as I fell in love and knew it, is not there anymore. It doesn't exist. When I fell in love with California, it had 20 million people in it. Now it's got 40. It's a little different town, a little different state now. It doesn't serve our needs anymore, and yet we keep going back. And this particular occasion, this beautiful woman who I'm so grateful to be married to, my Jeannie, she's a badass in a lot of ways. And one of the ways that she's a badass is physical. It's a fascinating understanding I had to come to not quite a decade ago, perhaps, that she is stronger than I am, physically speaking. I had a suspicion about this, and I said, honey, will you pin me down to the bed, please? Not in that way, okay? That might have happened later, but will you just pin me down? I want to see if I can overpower you, or if I can get away. If you tried to force me to be immobile, could I get out of that? Sure as shit, I could not. Yeah? So, she registers for this crazy-ass event like Jim Pasmore likes to go do, the Beasts, the Mud Runs, Spartan, is that what it was? It's Spartan. Rrr. She's a badass. She registers for this Spartan with some of her friends, her crazies, as she likes to call them, from California. Great group of girls who love her for exactly who she is right here. Not for what she can do for them, not for how much money she makes, or what color her hair is, or how she looks, or what gifts she gives. They love her for her. And she's going to do this event down there, the Spartan in, what the hell town was it? Modesto. Anybody have a displeasure? I'm sorry if you're from Modesto. Whew. Yeah, there's some people here who know Modesto. Central Valley of California if you're not from there. Registers for this event to go run it and be a badass with her crazies. Most of whom are not badasses and are just hilariously stumbling around the course with her as she's badassing herself around. And so we go to book the hotel. I'm going to go with her. Hell yeah, I'm going back to California. I love it. Let's do this. Spend some time there. And I go to book the hotel. I'm on hotels.com. It's the app I was using a bunch at the time. And I go, okay, that one looks great. Do a digging, let the mind figure out what's the best hotel. Let's wait, pros and cons of each. Book the hotel. That's a perfect one. Book. The app crashes. Well, that's weird. I use hotels.com a lot. I was commuting back to California to run this company, and so I use hotels.com constantly. This has never happened. That's weird. Reboot the app, go back and find the hotel, book. App crashes again. At this point, I'm starting to get pissed, right? Fucking phone, what the fuck? Stupid tech guys, can't get their shit right. Boot the app back up, go to the hotel site. Book. What happens? App crashes. What the fuck? This is ridiculous. God damn it. Fuck you, God. How dare you do this, man? Right? Anybody been there? Anybody not been there? Right? Fine. I'm going for a walk. I go walk and come back. Next morning. All right, phone. You and I are doing this, right? This is the fourth time. Book. Your booking is confirmed. About freaking time. Now you get it. Some coder must have finally pulled his head out of his ass and fixed the damn thing. The day comes. We drive down to California. It's the wrong goddamn weekend. It's the following weekend is the event. And we've been smoking too much goddamn grass from Central Oregon. I'm telling you, the pot here is way different than the pot in California. And we're like, woo, book this wrong weekend. Booking the wrong weekend. God was like, hello. I gave you 3 warning signs. I tried. You cursed me out. Fine, here you go. Have a nice Modesto hotel for a weekend for no reason. Enjoy your stay. There's an old parable of a man who was drowning at sea. He's out there, he gets pulled out in a riptide, and he's drowning at sea. And he's like, God, please save me. Come on, please save me. And so a lifeguard comes out on his surfboard. Go, come on, no, God's got this. He's going to save me. I prayed to him. He's got this. He's going to save me. I don't need your help. Okay, have at it, dude. And so the surfboard lifeguard goes, and then out comes the jet skier guy, right? Dude, come on, you're caught in a riptide, you're going to drown, come aboard. No. God's going to save me. God will save me. I got this. Jet skier goes off. Then the helicopter's, grab the line, sir. They're dropping the thing. No, I'm good. God's going to save me. Helicopter goes on. Your funeral, dude. And he drowns, and he dies. And he's in heaven going, what the fuck, God? Dude, I sent you 3 lifeguards on 3 different pieces of equipment, and you weren't listening. This is what we're doing, right? We are wildly and wickedly supported from a place that we can't understand. We're so wrapped up in this society that tells us we got to earn the dollars and drive the car and have the right house. There's an underlying love for you from beyond. You just have to open your ears. You have to open your eyes. And you have to see him differently. You have to see with this eye right here. You have to see with this eye right here. It's way different than these. And it's way different than your wallet. Most important decision I ever made in my life was to start making decisions without concern for what my wallet had to say about it. Super hard. And it turns out we're not alone. Even if there's no money in the wallet, we are not alone. As Pete so beautifully sang today, we are not alone. I knew I had to tell you this story. I was trying to find a way to not share this with you today. But Pete comes to me and I said, Pete, how you doing? He said, man, I'm good, but I'm still struggling a little bit. I'm sorry, Pete, I hope it's okay that I share this. My fiance broke up with me 8 months ago and like that. Haven't seen her since. It's been terrible. And he goes on to tell a story of a burning ceremony he's having with some of her pictures in Maui. And he meets a guru. A guy who'd been meditating in the ashram for 36 years to give him some wisdom. God said, you are loved, and here, let me support you. Let me support you. You are all supported. How do you know this? Because this place exists, and you're here today. We are here to celebrate unity, deep wisdom, and loving kindness for ourselves. It's the most important thing you can do. I assure you, you cannot be loved by another, and you cannot love another until you love yourself first. And you're not going to love yourself first until you understand how loved you are by the divine, that you are a part of that divine. And you will be there when you die. You don't get to take any of this with you. You really don't. This is really all that matters. Thank you, everyone, for having me up here today.